Hugh Freeze taking Jackson Arnold to SEC Media Days was 100% the right move.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. On today's show, we dap it up with Darrell Dapprich, Montgomery radio legend, on this Wednesday edition of the show, adding this recorded part right here because about 4 minutes into the show, as us speculating, saying Hugh Freeze must take Jackson Arnold to SEC Media Days, they send out all of it, and we react live to who Auburn's taking. Of course, Keldrick Faulk, Connor Lew, Jackson Arnold. Here we go. We'll talk about Auburn basketball schedule. There's some parallels from this upcoming season to last season, which could be a good thing. The O-line is being slept on, and I think there's a Dap rant in there somewhere, so I'm excited for that. But let's start with the speculation going into Media Days. As we record this on Tuesday afternoon, we don't know who will be representing the Auburn Tigers in Atlanta for SEC Media Days next week. But I'm telling you right now, Darrell, Hugh Freeze must take Jackson Arnold to be one of the faces of this program. It is clear that he is your starting quarterback. And to me, if your starting quarterback is a known thing, not a battle, and you don't take them, I think it's only going to be negative press and questioning if he's not one of those three.
There are so many weighted benefits that are so good for the Auburn football program if Jackson Arnold goes to SEC Media Days. First of all, which you just touched on, the message that it sends to the rest of the team. You want somebody in that huddle that you feel like is your leader when bullets are flying. And when you take someone to SEC Media Days, it sends that message. This is who I'm bringing. Number two, I just think other writers, other media members, people that are following SEC Media Days closely, it's good to hear from Jackson Arnold. It's good to see the face of your program, the starting quarterback, be there. So I just think there's way too many benefits, way too many things that are so good for the program that Auburn can't ignore or avoid, and they need, I agree, to take Jackson Arnold to Media Days.
I also think it adds a little bit to it that Oklahoma took him last year. And if you don't take him, it's like, well, another SEC team will take your quarterback, but you won't take your own quarterback. To me, I think that could be something. And I just know you and I will do 15 to 20 interviews with other outlets there. And that question will be asked every outlet we go on. Well, I know Jackson Arnold. If Jackson Arnold's not there, I mean, that would become a big part of the discussion when Auburn goes through the cycle of it all at Media Days. And it's just, you don't want any storylines to be created from Media Days, right? Like that's almost the goal, is to just have nothing happen after you leave. And I think discussion is negative if you don't take Jackson Arnold. And I think the way to quell all that is say, yeah, let's let our quarterback be the face of our program.
There's going to be so much negativity, Zach, I'm afraid, surrounding Auburn at SEC Media Days anyway. The recruiting questions, the golfing shots at Hugh Freeze, the health issues. I'm just telling you, I am looking at this one more to prepare and brace myself for the negativity. The questions we're going to get, the questions they're going to get in the small media rooms, the big room. So
we just got the email. We just got the email for attendees.
Okay.
Jackson Arnold is going.
Good.
You want to guess the other two? Real-time reaction.
I'm going to say Faulk and Connor Lew.
You nailed it. Keldrick Faulk, Connor Lew. I didn't know if they would take Keldrick 2 years in a row. I mean, the discussion when Keldrick was chosen last year was, wow, they really believe in him. And now it's like, no, Hugh Freeze is saying, hey, the Hugh Freeze era, like Keldrick is a part of this. Keldrick is a huge part of this. And then Connor Lew is not surprising at all. Hugh Freeze has made it clear that he likes taking at least one offensive lineman every year. Connor Lew's the no-brainer to me.
So what this does, again, the narrative needs to be more positive. I will be honest with you. I was a little bit surprised that Oklahoma took Jackson Arnold last year. Had never started a game for Oklahoma, first year in the SEC, spoke volumes to me that they took him. And I was a little bit shocked that Keldrick Falk went last year, and it turned out to be a good move. This is probably one of the very few that are the easiest to predict that I've ever seen at SEC Media Days. It was almost like a no-brainer, and I'm glad that there are a lot of worthy candidates. Don't get me wrong. Anytime you have to choose three, there's a lot that aren't going that would be worthy to go. But I think that's a good three-player lineup right there that Hugh Freeze decided on.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, the other candidates that came to mind are on offense. Like, I think Cam Coleman would have made sense. I think Eric Singleton would have made sense. I think Damari Austin would have made sense. I mean, what a voice for your program. Damari Austin would be a great one. On defense, I think it's just because a lot of these guys are so young. They're so young. And so you just we haven't heard from them a ton. It's like, what does that messaging actually look like? But I think this is the right three. Said at the top of the show, Hugh Freeze must take Jackson Arnold. He is. And so now I think with these guys, Connor Liu's not going to stir anything up. Keldrick Falk's not going to stir anything up. He'll get a lot of questions of hey, not many Auburn guys have gone multiple years. What does that mean? We'll see if he cares about that or not. I think he'll say that he does. And I don't see any downside now with this group.
Not only are you getting people that are really good spokespeople for Auburn, you're getting three integral starters on your team that are supposed to do big things for you. And that could potentially, two of the three, be first-round draft picks in the NFL. So now you're getting to where it was ambassadors a couple years ago. I am not knocking anybody that went a couple years ago. That's why I'm not mentioning names. But It was more about public relations, it seemed to me, 2 years ago. More about an image that's being revamped with Hugh Freeze. Now you're getting to superstardom, people you want to see that you think have a future in the NFL.
Yeah, and guys who have, with the exception of Jackson, been with the program since the high school level. Like you added Xavier Chaplin, who was getting first-round draft buzz, but has been here 5 minutes. Same with Eric Singleton, getting first-round draft buzz, but been here 5 minutes. Jackson Arnold, getting some buzz, depending on who you talk to. Been here 5 minutes, but he's your quarterback. He's your quarterback. And also, just from Hugh Freeze's point of view, your 2 years, you've picked Peyton Thorne, and you've got to show somebody. You got to say, hey, this is the guy I'm picking now, and he's going to be a better decision than the last 2 years.
Well, he actually didn't pick Peyton Thorne the first year. He had McAllister.
I'm saying he picked him as his quarterback.
I got you. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, and that was when you were right 2 years ago, and I was so emphatically wrong. When we were trying to guess who was going, I said, no way Hugh Freeze takes a transfer. No way he takes.
First year was McAllister, Cam Stutz, and Luke Deal. Is that right?
Correct. And one was a guy that had never played a snap for Auburn. And I was like, that ain't going to happen. And he did. Now, let me say this. Having interviewed Elijah I can see exactly why.
It was the right call.
Absolutely knocked my socks off. So
felt like he was an Auburn lifer. Is really what it felt like.
Yeah, he felt like somebody that's going to be holding a mic on the sidelines for the Auburn Network someday. That's how, and then last year was more of a returning type theme, even though Falk was young and Peyton Thorne's your quarterback. And, that was a move I think that had to be made, especially with all the scrutiny that Thorne was under. This is a good three. This is a great three choice. I mean, again, the harder it becomes to pick, the better, even though the doom and gloomers and the chicken littles with recruiting, the harder it is to pick people off your roster to go to SEC Media Days, it to me is an indication of how healthy your program is in the now, as far as the roster right now.
Yeah, no, if you could pick these three and put them up against any three, just from a talent standpoint that have represented Auburn, you probably have to go back to, it was during COVID, so I think they only took two guys, but when they took Bo Nix and Owen Papo.
They had Nix, Papo, and I thought they had Tank Bigsby. Maybe I was wrong. It was the year that it was during COVID. Go to Media Days? I thought that they had three that year. Because we interviewed him. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Tank did, but I remember Papo and I remember Nix, but I thought
you're probably right. Well. I didn't go for those few years. Like I didn't go to Media Days during the Carson era.
Yeah, it was in Birmingham. So
yeah, I don't know. I don't know, but if that's the trio, that's a very good trio for sure. For sure, this is the first one to be able to compete with that, which is saying something. So, I mean, we've mentioned a few of the offensive linemen already. They're being slept on, and Dap's mad about it. Next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Darrell, can you imagine wagering anywhere other than with our friends at FanDuel?
No, absolutely not. Especially with some of the little perks they give you, you know, the little special things that when you sign up and make your first bet, love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that sign up you're talking about, if you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet $5 and you get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Come on. I mean, with all the MLB action happening right now, is so-and-so going to hit a home run tonight or not? Ronald Acuna, all eyes are on you. And of course, they've got lines for baseball as well. But get in on the action over at FanDuel. Once again, new customers can bet $5, and if that first bet wins, you get $150 in bonus bets. So open the FanDuel app today or go to FanDuel.com to get started. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. We're seeing all these lists come out, preseason lists, and you're getting some bit of love for Xavier Chaplin or some bit of love for Connor Lew. But as a unit, it doesn't seem like folks outside of Auburn are still particularly high on this offensive line, Darrell.
Yeah, and that's why this is a little bit different type of rant, because I'm agitated, but I'm also just extremely passionate and excited about this group. And it's a head scratcher to me as to why they're getting slept on. Is it, well, you've got to prove it? I want us to look and evaluate where this offensive line is right now. They are returning, if my math is correct, four actually, but one's not starting. They're returning 4 starters along the offensive line. So check my math on that, right? Wade, Miller, even though he's not starting, Connor Lew, and Jeremiah Wright. 3 of those are starting. So you've got a returning guy who played pretty good that's not even able to crack the starting 5. Then you go out and arguably get the best offensive tackle in the class in Chaplin, and then get the second best,
number 2, right,
in Mason Murphy, who is more comfortable playing on the right side. Your backups are guys like DeAndre Carter, Miller, Johnson, Tyler Johnson, Dylan Senda. And I'm just going to say this. In some years, Auburn's offensive line was so porous that the guys I just mentioned that are backing up the starters probably cracked the starting lineup. And
sure,
you know what I'm saying? And my assessment is, and we'll get why later, it's trickle-down effect. My assessment is this offensive line has the potential to be one of the best offensive lines Auburn has seen in close to 20 years.
Does this year's version of Tyler Johnson start on Hugh Freeze's first offensive line?
Absolutely, and he definitely starts on some of Gus Malzahn's offensive line.
Yeah, or Brian Harsin's.
I didn't specify which era when I said good enough to start on some Auburn. I think the Tuberville era is when the offensive line recruiting and the offensive line play, that's the last time, in my opinion, it was good. You saw guys go into the league. You saw them developed, right? So I think
there'd be chatter around a lot of these guys during those eras. Like Seth Wilfred, I think, would be a guy that would be starting caliber during those eras of Auburn football. I think DeAndre Carter is a guy that would get a ridiculous amount of chatter during that era of Auburn football and would probably be one of the better guys. And then, just the attention that would be around a guy like Broderick Scholl, just barely missed being a 5-star kid coming in. Like, there would be so much excitement around him, but because he might be, on the tail end of the 2 deep going into this season with Auburn's current situation, you're not really hearing that chatter, but like the future of the position is very, very bright.
There are a lot of things that analysts, fans, coaches, podcasters have different opinions on and argue about. One thing that is a common thread that I think you would be very, very difficult to find all these groups in disagreement is how important and how you build a roster based upon everything starting on the lines of scrimmage. So there's no argument to be made that a really, really good offensive line equates to probably a pretty good season, because here's why. It's a trickle-down effect. It makes your quarterback better. It makes your running game better. It gives time for the receivers to run their routes. So that unit, that group is enough. If they're good enough, they can affect and impact some already great position groups. And if you get Jackson Arnold time and you give these running backs holes, and if he has time and the receivers can run the intricate routes they want to run, watch out. And I think this offensive line is good enough to be like that. It's going to make a major impact on this team, and they are way flying under the radar.
Yeah. And look, I mean, good players cover up scheme. I've been very consistent in saying, like, I believe in this roster. Some of the offensive scheme I have questions on, but now that he's got his guys in place, hopefully, it all works out, which it makes sense. It makes sense if you got the quarterback that's used to making the right decisions and receivers who are better at getting open. That's going to help any scheme, 100%. So a better offensive line helps all of that. 100% agree. 100% agree. Auburn basketball's schedule, specifically in the non-conference this upcoming season, man, it kind of feels like a year ago. And that's a good thing. That's next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Kia Autosport of Columbus. If you're looking for your next ride and located near Auburn, you're in luck. Just a short drive away in Columbus, Georgia, or Atlanta. A lot of you guys tune in from Atlanta. Kia Autosport of Columbus is bringing the heat with the Kia Summer Savings Event going on right now. You can save up to $3,000 off MSRP on a select 2025 Kia Sorento model, which is a versatile SUV. My family, we bought a Kia Sorento several years ago. Strongly endorse it as a vehicle, especially for families. It's awesome. It's very good. Also, all new Kia purchases come with tires for life and a lifetime powertrain warranty. Just ask your sales associate about that. And if you're a Locked On listener, which you are because you're watching or listening to this right now, just ask for Chris Child and mention the show and you get $500 off any new Kia. That's crazy. Head to Kia Autosport of Columbus just off Whittlesey Boulevard in Columbus, Georgia, or visit KiaAutosportColumbus.com to browse the full inventory and start saving today. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. This time a year ago, whenever we talked about basketball, it was, oh my goodness, the schedule is going to be so tough. And I think that was before we realized how good the SEC was going to be. It got tougher. And man, did Auburn flourish in that situation. And when the tournament arrived, they were ready, which is great. Despite everybody saying that they wouldn't be, that they were tired and worn down, they made it to the Final Four. When you look at who they're playing this year and the schedule still coming together as far as official dates and all of that, but Auburn announced recently they're in the Players Era Championship. They'll play Oregon and Michigan on back-to-back days. Those are the latest. They've got a home-and-home setup with Arizona. They're playing Purdue again for the second part of that 2-year neutral site deal. And then I'm missing one. Houston. And North Carolina State too, I believe. NC State, part of the ACC SEC Challenge. So once again, an absolutely loaded non-conference schedule. Hats off to Bruce Pearl. What does it mean, Darrell?
It makes me excited. Here's why. It's a 3-step process. Last year, the non-conference schedule prepared Auburn to play in the toughest league in America in one of the toughest years they've ever had. And then that league prepared Auburn to play in the postseason. So it was a domino effect. I said last year, if you schedule this kind of non-conference schedule, it's a message to your fans that you feel like you have a good team. Then that was confirmed. We were blessed to get an invitation from the Dallas-Fort Worth president of the Auburn Club there to the ambush event where we asked Bruce Pearl that question. And he laughed and said, I must be crazy, but I do have confidence, and this is how good I think this team can be. I saw him at another charity event 2 months later, I asked him a question privately, standing outside the country club lobby, and he said, we have a chance to be, well, that's where the event was. I'm not a member of any, I'm a member of no country club, no flex for me.
Okay.
The event was held at the country club. Darrell is not a member of the country club. I'd have a ticket to get in. So we were standing outside the steps, and he said, I think we have a chance to be really good. You schedule like this, Zach, when you think that you can overcome this schedule and not get hurt by it and only get helped by it. And that's why I fully expected a step back. I thought this non-conference schedule this upcoming year was going to be a deep breath, a reset. No, it's almost just as daunting as it was last year. The Duke North Carolina State thing is the only difference that I think, but you're going to laugh because you always do. I'm telling you, Arizona has a chance to be top
you
five.
Love Arizona.
I just know a lot. They have a chance to be top five. And
you follow them. I mean,
and in the Kale Center where they're playing, that place is a tomb for people. I mean,
and also, like, I've always thought I don't think it matters if you feel like your team is elite or not. I think you should schedule like this. In today's age where everything's looked at by net and strength of schedule and all that, like, I don't think there's any downside to playing these games and losing them. I just don't think that, especially when you're also going to have the backing of the strength of schedule for the SEC. All you need to do is go 500 in these games and do okay in the SEC, and you're in the tournament. You're going to get the benefit of the doubt now. So even if, like, let's say he doesn't believe in this team as much as it is last year's, I still think Auburn is at the point as a program where you should schedule this. The nice thing, though, about where Auburn is now is you can schedule like this. Auburn couldn't schedule like this even if they wanted to a few years ago, because Oregon and Michigan and Houston and Purdue and Arizona, they wouldn't have. Putting Auburn on their schedule did nothing for them.
There's no way
it does. Now they're having a conversation like we're having. It's like Arizona saying, like, we get to host Auburn.
And we get to go to Auburn
the last few years.
I've heard also we get to go to Auburn. I got a text message going, how insane. We are looking forward to going into that environment that we see on ESPN.
Right.
On the game day stuff.
Different world.
Yes.
And so I don't think there's any downside to scheduling like this. The issue is not every program can schedule like this, but Auburn is the caliber of program now where Oregon and Michigan are like, ooh, we get to play Auburn now. It's crazy. I'm getting a little bit of chills saying that. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, and look, let's not kid ourselves. Somebody really, really kind must have got you that shirt. I think
I tried to pay him. He wouldn't let me.
Yeah, I think about this too. I'm convinced that Auburn, the reason why Auburn still got a number one seed in the NCAA tournament, despite losing 3 of their last 5, was what they did in the non-conference schedule. That was the payoff at the end of the year. They looked at the whole body of work and said, my God, look what they did in the non-conference. Yeah, they've lost 3 out of their last 5 in the SEC. Yeah, they won the regular season title. But let's look at the whole body of work. And you cannot have the whole body of work without what happened before January.
No, playing all of the 1 seeds in the toughest year, in college basketball, it mattered. Now, is that going to happen this year? I don't know. I mean, you're high on Arizona. Does Arizona have a shot to be a 1 seed this year? Possibly. We'll see what happens. They're going to have the opportunity to do so with their non-conference schedule, as well as playing in the Big 12. There's going to be enough teams, I think, for them to have the resume to do so. We saw that with Houston last year. Could Houston be a 1 seed? Yeah, absolutely. They're good enough. So I think it's going to be helpful. I think it's going to be helpful for sure. So super, super fun stuff coming with Auburn basketball. Very, very fun. Darrell Dapprich, how can people check out everything you've got going on?
Hey, follow me on X, DAP6410 if you get a chance, and then Wednesdays and Fridays here with you on Locked on Auburn.
Yep. Hey, please like the video. Please subscribe. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked on Auburn.